Hello everyone, welcome back to Shock Talk. We've got some topics today that are going to be really fun to discuss. The guys are ready to go here. We're going to talk about some vehicles, current vehicles and their off-road ability, and we're going to talk about their strengths and weaknesses. And I believe it's going to be Wrangler, Bronco, and what was the third vehicle we wanted to talk about today?
4Runner.
4Runner, yes.
4Runner, and we might even touch on the
we're going to touch on it.
the new Land Cruiser.
You're
Though we don't have
that out of the
the
bag
new Land
this
Cruiser
early.
250. Though we don't have much info, we're going to speculate.
Incorporate that, speculation, incorporation.
Correct. We'll speculate because I mean the chassis shared with everything Toyota makes, so there's it might not be much speculation.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we had picked this topic, 4Runner versus Bronco, and then sprinkle some Jeep in, right?
Right.
But now, yesterday, well, we were going to do this last week, but
Then we saw Sean
yesterday-
Holman touching his plane, saying cruising through the land, and and now he shared some info, and now
we have
want
to talk about it. Yes.
And now when I turn on Instagram, all I see is Land Cruiser,
Land Cruiser.
and it's cheaper.
Yes.
Why is it cheaper?
Look,
Then a
let's not
Sequoia.
start fighting already. So let's
Yeah.
start. Let's talk about. So what we're going to talk about is three of the most off-road capable cab-on chassis SUVs that are available.
And their strengths and weaknesses, suspension-wise and otherwise as well. Yeah.
And why you would want to pick one over
Exactly.
the other.
Which
right?
one does what best?
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Which one do you want to start with, or you just want to take them all
We'll
on?
just take them all on.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so we were originally going to talk about Bronco versus Jeep, and
Right.
I made the suggestion that we drag in a 4Runner because this is where I think Bronco misses the market. Like I think everyone compares the Bronco to a Wrangler, which is a complete unfair comparison.
Yes.
Being that you're comparing a live axle vehicle to an IFS vehicle, which they're both extremely capable, but in different ways.
Yes.
Right.
So to me, the way I see things, you see these glasses?
Oh, by
Your
the
new
way,
glasses. Junior has a new look. How does everyone
He's
like
got
it?
a new look.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is,
And you're seeing very good right now, right?
I,
Very clear.
I see everything. I
Don't
see
let
what,
him
I
lose
see
his
what
train
I'm
of
saying.
thought. Yeah.
So what I think is, you get a lot of Bronco guys. They buy them. They take them out to Moab for Easter Jeep Safari to try to show out the Wranglers, and they don't.
Nope.
They just don't. You know, it's a lot of good technology in there, a lot of good traction aid, a lot of good, but it's just outclassed in the rocks by Wrangler. Period.
Yes.
So what do you think causes that?
Solid axle versus IFS.
Yeah, it's simple.
Very
Well,
simple.
go over the differences so people understand it.
So you got a solid axle, which is
Right.
far superior for complete articulation than it is for, and you know what, maybe
Well, the Broncos
Well,
IFS in the front.
here's-
that's a
solid
tough.
axle.
This is actually tough because that RTI shootout by what's his name had the 200 series Land Cruiser better than the Rubicon Unlimited.
Yeah,
Right.
but he didn't. He had the sway bars connected. On the-
Right.
on the-
So outside of that, the Wrangler is far superior in the rocks than
Well,
a Bronco.
there's two things. Since it can articulate and the Bronco can't as much, the Bronco's got a lot of the teeter-tottering effect, so it's
Right,
kind of
right.
scary, right?
So we're talking
Very
about
scary.
on the Jeep you have solid axle front, solid axle rear, correct?
Yeah, but with a
and on
solid-
the Bronco you have IFS front, solid axle rear on coilovers.
Coilovers front and rear.
Okay. So
But with an IFS car, it teeters,
The
right?
travel's
And then
not there, yeah.
and then the traction on the front isn't anywhere near as good.
Yeah,
Right.
it's less confident in the rocks than a Wrangler.
Less confident.
Period.
So that's kind of the main thing. I mean, you could drive the Bronco a lot of places, but it's way sketchier. It's
So
not as
now let's
confident
talk
as
about, let's touch on 4Runner and why I think that the Bronco is more of a competitor to the 4Runner than it is to the Wrangler.
right.
The 4Runner is 5-link coil sprung rear
Right.
and IFS front.
Right.
It does not allow as large of a tire as the Bronco.
Right.
Okay, so you have to, factory 35s on the Bronco, on like the Sasquatch.
Yeah, is that a body design that's allowing that, or is it
Yeah,
suspension?
big fenders.
Body
you know what I
design.
mean? Yeah, big
Okay.
fenders. They prepped it for that 35. Whereas
Right.
I mean,
the
the
4Runner
4Runner is a great cruiser, right?
Right.
It,
Awesome.
Get on the road. drive down the road. Just as long as you don't have a roof tent and a bunch of boxes up there, you can drive pretty fast. But the Bronco is also a good cruiser.
Right.
Very good cruiser.
Very good cruiser.
So now if you want to talk capability in the rocks, you got the Wrangler Rubicon,
Right.
superior.
Number one, yeah.
Then you got the Bronco, then you got the 4Runner.
Right.
If you want to talk about
overlanding,
Yeah.
I would probably, well, overlanding's different because
Well, they're all 4 doors, right? So you can pack the same amount of gear
either
in them.
one of any one of these vehicles will do great at overlanding. It
Right.
doesn't make a difference,
Right.
Right, because I mean, if truly what you're doing is overlanding,
Interior space and suspension and all that.
if I had one to pick for overlanding, I think I'd pick the Bronco.
I would too.
Yeah.
However,
It seems to be
I
the
wouldn't
bigger
pick the
of the
Bronco. I would not take a Bronco by myself out to the middle of nowhere and expect that it's going to get back because they have they're spitting turbos out. They're
Well,
doing
I fear the technology in that truck as well. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
like
20 different modes for the
yeah.
traction control.
Some poor guy just
Scary.
bought ours, and the navigation can't find itself from the Bluetooth, and it's just jumping back and forth. And
Yeah, well,
Well, if you're doing like overlanding, and typically with overlanding, you're supposed to drive pretty far off the pavement, right?
Right.
Not just out to Holcomb Valley
Right.
and Big Bear.
Right.
But you're going to go to Death Valley.
Right.
So
Not now though, because it's 130.
Yeah,
out
maybe
there.
maybe I
Or-
would
or
maybe
something
I,
like that.
Maybe I wouldn't pick Bronco. I think I'd still pick 4Runner just
Yeah.
for sheer reliability, man.
Well,
Like
it
that's-
also has to do with longevity, right? So the Bronco's a fairly new chassis, fairly new vehicle. 4Runner's been around since the dawn of time.
Well,
so.
I think maybe we should just. I mean, obviously, okay, the Broncos got some issues, or whatever, with quality.
Look at ours. We didn't even drive that thing really hard, like through. Maybe we did, but like when we were testing 8112s for it back, like when we first got it.
You're not supposed to say anything about
Okay,
it.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry.
yeah.
So when we first got that thing, like you get it down a whoop section and the speaker grill start falling off. Part of the dash feels like it's falling off. So there are some shortcomings to the quality. Mm-hmm. Whereas the 4Runner, we've put 8112s on that and beat the life out of it, and it's still the dash doesn't squeak. There no grills fall off the interior. Like there is definitely a quality difference.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
the
think there's
nature
a big.
of Toyota forever, though. Yeah.
I think that's a big thing with like the wind noise. So 4Runner's quiet.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Bronco's got this removable top,
Right.
That
More
leaks
noise.
from the factory.
and it's like, why do you need that? Like, if you're going to go overlanding, you really don't need a removable top. So
right.
I wish Bronco would have had a steel top.
Or
I think that was
at least
version.
offered it.
Yeah, a
At
version
least
of
offered it
steel
still top.
top.
Now, this is why I think that people greatly compare the Bronco to the Wrangler because of the removable top,
Right.
because of the size,
The
because of the
doors come
four-door.
off, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And that's fine if you're comparing it as just a street vehicle driving from point A to point B. But when you start comparing that on the off-road side of things, you're still outclassed by a Rubicon.
yeah. I think the Jeep still does it best.
In the rocks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not even in the rocks anymore. Like we
Kind
talked
of all
about.
around.
We talked about this before, how things are mixing, right?
Right.
Like before, solid axle
Yep.
wasn't go fast.
Yep.
It was just
high speed
IFS.
and crawlers. Yep.
Now you could put a set of our 8100 bypasses on a Gladiator or a JL, and you can boogie down a washboard road. You can boogie down whoop sections. It's like just as fast as an IFS.
Yeah, and I think that
Well, let me tell you a story about that. So 2 years ago in Moab, we had TRX, we had a Raptor. What was that? The road with the Goonie Bird. The Goonie Bird in Moab. We drove back and forth on that a few times. Up to Metal Masher. The one day I did, the first day we pre-ran, did Metal Masher, which we did take Bronco 2-door on Metal Masher 2 days in a row, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
A 4Runner, you would never even think about
you
that.
wouldn't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what
So,
I'm saying.
I mean, but
Well, a 4Runner, if you had a 4Runner with 35s and had the same diff clearance, you can get there through there. If a Bronco got through there on 35s, a 4Runner would get through
but we
there on
already
35s.
determined that you never want to put 35s on a 4Runner.
Correct.
they don't really fit.
Yeah.
But I would say a Gladiator. I drove through. We did Metal Masher on a pre-run, and I drove the Gladiator down through that Goonie Bird trail, flat foot over little. It was so smooth.
Remember when me, you,
well,
and
that's
Wes,
a long wheelbase.
pre-COVID, me, you, and Wes, I think in 18 or 19, went out to TDS just to show up. And Wes was turning tubes on the bypass in that one section, and we were just dropping off like 3-foot shelves, man, and it just soaked it up. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, I was gripping the Oh Jesus bar because I had no idea that it would soak it up like that.
It's crazy.
However, it takes more than just throwing a shock on a solid axle vehicle and making it go fast.
Tuning,
because not even tuning. You break stuff.
Yeah.
The axle.
It's not intended for go fast. So now you're in it for, sleeve gussets, C gussets, truss.
Super 44 front.
Yeah.
Or
now you're heading towards sad face.
Or you're moving into a 60 axle, but now you're controlling a ton of unsprung weight in a 60. So you got to build a light 44 if you want to make a go fast Jeep. You build a light 44 or like a fabricated front housing, like maybe a Spider Trax 9-inch housing or something. So it's not just throwing shocks on and going fast. Just like it's with the IFS, you could throw on an 8112 and go fast in a 4Runner because it's IFS. You do run the risk of, destroying stuff. That's why Chaos builds the tower gussets, the cam gussets, the cam tab gussets, the spindle gussets. So both you really got to address, right? But
the stock front axle for really pounding through the desert,
bending it.
You're going to bend it at some point.
You're going to bend it.
Yeah. But I would say, the next day after that, I drove a Raptor through there, and I swear to God, the Gladiator was smoother with the bypasses.
100%.
Well, how about the TRX?
It was 37s, bypasses, rock crawler kit, which they have a great kit, great spring rates. I flat footed the Gladiator so smooth.
It felt like a McPherson strut car going through it. It's a washboard, right? Everyone wonders why does my McPherson strut Outback feel so much better than washboard? Because it's cab on chassis. It's not cab on chassis. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of translation of vibration through the chassis and then through your steering column. I mean, it's just more that, it's just designed that way. There's no upper arm. There's nothing. It's just glides through that stuff.
Spring and a damper.
Well, let's go back to that day. So we did take a Bronco through Metal Masher. We've done it 2 years in a row.
Right.
A two-door Bronco.
Even this year.
A stock one with 6100s on it with like a 1.5-inch lift. So other than that, it was stock.
Yeah, this year.
And it even had stock tires.
Both Broncos went through.
I mean, you would, if you took a 4Runner with stock tires with a 2-inch lift or 1.5-inch lift, there's no way. That would
you're not going to make it.
Yeah. You'd be dragging that.
But if Toyota did the body panels accordingly to clear a 35, you'd go everywhere the Bronco. It's by design. It's not by vehicle capability.
Well, and we've already talked about the driveline and the gearing and things like that not being able to handle those.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if Toyota built that 4Runner with a 35, they would have taken all that into consideration like Ford did.
Built that truck, yep.
If that was available with a 35, it can go everywhere the Bronco. But the Bronco targets a different, it's like a different target. It's almost half Wrangler, half 4Runner kind of target, right?
Right.
So they did it with 35s, available with 35s, and now 37s with the Raptor version, right? So but also we were following. What were me and Mark following? You were in the JT, or no, you were in the JL, and Mark, you were following Mark at EJS this year, and he high centered the thing
behind the rocks.
Yeah,
right. Because he was following a rock buggy with 42s.
Yeah, exactly.
And he high centered it.
That's not the same.
After we yanked him off of that, the JL walked right over it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. So
2-inch different tire size.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, he was nowhere close to
there was nowhere. Right. I mean, he was teetering.
Right.
Randy Pope got out of the car and he's like, "Yeah, I don't play seesaw out here."
Yeah, I've seen those photos. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. So I think talking about this, I think it's like the Bronco is that market where it's kind of half Wrangler, maybe half 4Runner.
Yeah. Well, I think the 4Runner's got a lot to worry about with the Bronco out there. Because
it's definitely pulling some of the business away from Toyota products.
I mean,
definitely pulling
as far as guys like us, I think so. But Toyota has such a diehard
following. Well, aside from that, of course they have a diehard following, but that was like the only vehicle for a while that had 4 doors. You could put stuff in the back.
Yeah.
And now they come out with this Bronco.
Well, but still the Bronco, though, you can't put stuff in the back if you don't want it wet.
Yeah, exactly.
But the
You know what I
Bronco
mean?
has our ESCV, or if you get the Sasquatch package, or ESCV,
Right.
which
Are
is
great out of the box.
Right.
Little piggyback reservoir shocks and 35s.
Right.
And if you wanted a 4-door SUV to go off-roading and go overlanding or whatever, you know, you got to put a lot of money and work into the 4Runner, and you're only putting 33s on it.
Right.
So you get back to tire size.
Right.
Like this thing is completely stock with 35s.
Right.
then
And
the
factory
4Runner,
Ghost
Which is why people compare it more to the Wrangler than they do the 4Runner. But suspension-wise, it's a fair comparison with the 4Runner.
It
Right.
is. It's like,
Right.
to me, it's more like to me, it's an upgrade from a 4Runner.
I say upgrade very, very.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll take that back. To me, it's more like, if I was shopping for a 4Runner, I would be looking at the Bronco
Right.
going,
Yeah.
It's a
'Cause I wanna
closer
go-
comparison.
I wanna go
Yeah.
camping,
Yeah. And it's
off-road.
pretty much ready to go off the lot.
And I would go right
Yeah.
to the parts department. I'd buy like 6 tie rods. I'd
Yeah,
keep them in
tie
my
rods
glove
and-
box, and
yeah.
I'd get a whole thing of silicone to seal up the roof,
Yeah.
just to make sure everything's
Yeah.
good.
well, let's just say that stuff doesn't break. Let's say the Bronco and the 4Runner were equally stout.
Stout, right.
You know, you were going to go do some backcountry camping, overlanding or something like that. I mean, it would be
Bronco becomes a serious option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
so if the Bronco had a steel top instead of that disaster they have going on up
Right.
there. Like, I don't know. I think it's a lot more like a 4Runner than it is a now. But if I wanted to go onto the rocks, there's no way I'd just go straight to the Jeep.
Right.
100%.
Right.
100%.
You know,
this
we
is
talk
qualifying your needs. This is back
Yeah,
to
exactly.
qualifying
what
your
vehicle
one's
is right
needs,
for you. Exactly. But we mentioned JL and JT. Now, do you think the JT is better in the rocks because of the long wheelbase, or worse in the rocks because of the long wheelbase?
Oh, it's
worse.
It's way worse.
Right? But you said on the stutter and chop, it's better, right?
The
Because
Gladiator rides way better on road
Right.
and rides way better off road than
Yep.
JL.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're
it's-
dragging a lot of stuff. I mean, unless you're putting 42s on a Gladiator, you high center, and you don't bob the bed. You can't just take a 3-inch lifted Gladiator on 37s and not expect to get some body damage on tight switchbacks and
Right.
trails,
Right.
and high centered.
So the JL still wins pretty much all around.
Yeah.
If it gives a little bit on the high speed stuff because of the shorter wheelbase, but it's much better in the tight rocky stuff.
Yeah, because you would like a JL on 35s probably has a similar breakover as a JT on 37s with
or
Right.
40s.
Right, on 40s,
know?
yeah.
so you don't have to put as much time and effort into if you're going to do an overland truck like JT,
Right.
100%.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but you don't have that truck bed to put your backpack rack and your rooftop tent on there. As you know, if you're driving around in the JL, the best you can do is just pack the interior and put a rooftop tent on it. So
I mean, I think the JT is like a perfect overland truck platform.
right,
Like,
unless you're getting serious tight rocks, the JT will work.
I don't know,
just
man.
fine.
I mean,
like I think IFS makes a better. Like I think my 100 series Land Cruiser is probably one of the best overland platforms you can get.
well, I know he's itching to talk about the
Well, let's talk about an equalizer though, because you take a JT or JL. So yeah, 4Runner is going to ride really great,
right.
But if you have a JT or JL on 37s, the 37s roll down a graded road just naturally because the
air
tires
it
are
down.
huge.
Yeah, air it down, and you have
So
suspension.
it's kind of like equalizes itself out.
Yeah,
But definitely on the road, the 100, the 4Runner, and the Bronco are going to cruise.
Yeah, it's
Effortlessly down the road.
far more comfortable, less wind noise. It's
Well, at the Bronco is pretty noisy,
yeah.
but
it is
Yeah.
because of the roof and the
I
way
didn't.
they've designed it.
When I drove to that Bronco so much, and there was times where I looked up to make sure the roof was still there.
Yeah, they definitely make some noise. And if you
And
get
for
the
some
two-door
reason,
version,
the
forget about getting in the back
For
seat.
some reason, the 2-door has no sway bar in the rear too.
Yeah, and
The 4-door has a sway bar. The 2-door doesn't.
those back seats in the two-door or in the two-door are useless. I mean, you have to be a some sort of contortionist to get in the back seat.
I mean, I got back there fine.
I know. Well, I'm smaller-ish.
Weren't you doing gymnastics in the back seat?
Yeah, I was trying it. But as far as cargo space and getting in and out of the truck, go for the 4-door.
I mean, if you do want to hit the rocks in a Bronco, the 2-door's pretty damn good.
Right.
You know, because of the short wheelbase. But you can't carry
it's okay,
anything.
Though. It's okay. It doesn't have articulation. You're going to lift tire. You're going to do a whole bunch of like tire hanging, which is fine. It just know what you're up against. I mean, again, it's all about qualifying one's needs. Like if you want just absolute sheer reliability, know you're going to get in that thing and it's going to start every single time, and 33s is all you want, get a 4Runner.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
If you want 35s and you want to cruise comfortably on the street with headphones on and once in a while get in the rocks, get a Bronco.
Yep.
Right? And know that the EcoBoom might need more attention than the 4-liter 4Runner, right?
Right.
So
Turbos cause
if you're strictly going to be in the rocks, like don't even go to a Ford or a Toyota dealer.
Mm-hmm. Head right on over to Jeep.
Yeah. I think qualifying the tire you want to run, right?
Yeah.
Because I see this in the Bronco all the time, and it's a disaster. People want to run 37s. So it's like okay, what's your build? What tire do you want to run?
Mm-hmm.
I want to run 37s. Buy a Jeep.
Yeah.
Don't buy a Bronco.
Yeah, we've come to that conclusion almost on every episode.
Quinn over at 74 Well does have the portals.
Oh, come on.
He has the portals.
For like $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think they're more than that.
You're turning into a sad face at that point. That sounds like issues to me.
They're all aluminum. They're top quality parts, and it has the gear reduction in the portal. So you don't even have to gear the axle. So this is a way you can run 40s on a bone stock Bronco,
but can you still take the kids to school?
Well, no, you're gonna need some rock slide engineering. Tanner, what's up?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this technology continues to grow in the aftermarket, and you get a guy like Quinn who's a mastermind at what he does. Now he's putting Broncos on our Tacomas on 35s with portals with the suspension. Look, I don't got 25 racks to spend for portals, but I'll tell you what. It's a genius idea.
Oh, yeah.
Because you now got great suspension geometry. You got the tire size you want. And guess what? You can run over a 5-gallon bucket and the lower control arm doesn't.
And you get to keep the truck you like.
Well, let's get back to the tire size. You want to run 35s. Okay. To run 35s on a Tacoma, legit, you need Quinn's portals.
Right.
That's the only way to properly run.
And those cost $25,000.
Right. Plus the cost of the vehicle and all your overland.
I think the Tacoma's cheaper. The Tacoma portals might be cheaper. I should have actually done research on this before I brought up Quinn. But anyway.
Or you could just buy a Bronco and put 35s on it.
Or
I mean, what
you
are you
just
doing?
buy a Jeep, put 37s on it.
or who buys things and leaves them alone, Shane?
Exactly. We have to change them around.
We got to be super supportive of the aftermarket because we are Bilstein.
So we mentioned at the beginning that there was one vehicle we wanted to argue about that's new. That's
we
coming
don't
out.
have enough info on it, but we
don't
have enough speculation.
We don't have the data on it, but we got to speculate. I mean, it's just too juicy of a topic to leave
alone. The new Land Cruiser
alone.
250. I'm upset.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first off, we know there's a new 4Runner coming, right? And then yesterday, they tell us we have this new Land Cruiser and show us pictures.
And I'm upset.
And give us pricing.
And I'm upset.
Why are you upset?
Because it's a 4-cylinder. And because the Sequoia is offered with the Turbo 6 hybrid engine, and this is not.
And why else are you upset?
Because they just took the Land Cruiser badge and made it like the base model cab-on-chassis SUV that Toyota offers.
Because it's now not for rich people.
Yeah,
it's for the everyday
It's for
guy.
every man.
Which I'm completely excited about.
Right.
So I've always wanted the hundreds. I've always said, man, I want the Poverty Pack 100, like no moonroof, cloth seats, roll down windows, manual transmission with that 4500 diesel. Like that's what I was always pissed off. Like, why don't we get these cars? Now we get the cars and I'm pissed off.
Because it's a different chassis.
You know what I mean?
I don't know why you're pissed off.
I'm pissed off because the name Land Cruiser has always been synonymous for the premium line that Toyota offers in the United States. Understood.
Except for 40.
Yeah.
Understood.
Well, that was the FJ40, yeah.
Understood that in the rest of the world, that Land Cruiser offered base model vehicles, Prados. There was a slew of Land Cruiser offerings.
Right.
There's a Land Cruiser Prado, which is basically what we just
In the
got.
United States, where we are from, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
This takes the Land Cruiser nameplate and brings it to a entry-level market, and I'm just wondering what Toyota's thought is.
So it puts it below the 4Runner or below the
I would
Sequoia?
think so, because the current 4Runner TRD off-road package is more expensive than 56 grand on the lot.
That's true.
And they're saying these are going to be introduced at 50.
Now, do they all run on the same chassis, or do we have different chassis we're talking about now?
Well, they say it's based on all the 300 series chassis, like the LX600,
Right.
the GX550. It's basically a twin of the GX550. That's what
Which
it is.
is a 4Runner chassis.
The thing I do like is that when you buy the premium, you get the same suspension and traction packages in the base model that you get in the premium model, which is a new thing from Toyota, because you always had to buy the top of the line to get all the traction devices, and then you got a whole bunch of crap you didn't want. So now you can get cloth seats and
traction control
and a rear locker center diff lock and all that. But like, if you're going to put a locker in it, shouldn't you put an all-terrain tire on it? What's up with this Dunlop street tire?
I don't know.
I think that's, again, we're speculating
Toyota
here.
is just...
Why do you have a car with lockers with street tires?
I don't get
what
it.
What was the point of that?
Maybe they have like multiple engineers working on this program and they don't see eye to eye.
Maybe that was just a bad photo, and the real one comes with
Come on,
different tires.
Toyota. If you're going to put a locker in the vehicle, just put all-terrain tires on it.
I mean, please.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now we got to go buy your $55,000 base model Land Cruiser and take it straight to a tire shop.
Right.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Give us all terrains at least. Give us a tire with a load rating rather than a P-metric Dunlop.
What are you going to do with that Dunlop?
I'm going to take it off and fire it into a trash can.
Yeah. Blow it up on the trail and get stuck forever without a way out.
And then what happens?
If it is the case that they're more focused on a more entry-level buyer, I respect that. If they're focused more on an off-road capable chassis, I respect that. Then make it that way. Like the base model cloth interior should have a load-rated... Rubicon does it.
I don't know why it's so hard.
So what's been offered on previous model vehicles? Was it always...
P-metric Dunlops.
Oh, okay.
Toyota.
Right.
The only one that didn't was the TRD Pro, and they had the Nitto Terra Grappler, but it was a P-metric Terra Grappler too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Full week. So what happens? All right, I need off-road tires. So
So I'm not going to put the same size tire, so definitely going to lift it.
Right.
So
it starts them very, very early on their way off the lot.
the thing is like tires
get,
are probably more important than the locker.
Right.
Yeah, it's the first point of traction.
Yeah.
So why do you have a locker on? You don't have an all-terrain tire. So here's what happens. They came with P-metric Dunlops with super lightweight rims that are balanced and forged and hub-centric. And now...
And lug-centric.
No, people aren't like us where we look at tires and ratings and E rating, D rated, C rating. They're not like us.
Yeah. They just go to a tire shop and ask for something.
In the office, Junior and I will get into a debate about tires, and everyone's like, you guys are freaking crazy with your tires. Are like the E2, E1.
Yeah. And Shane's
what's
saying
the weight of that
this one weighs 27.3 pounds. I think I'm going to get this one because the other one weighs
lighter.
27.9.
Yeah.
And the guys sitting next to us are like, what the frick are you guys even talking
Who cares?
about?
Just buy the damn
So
tire.
here's what
already.
happens. You've got this Land Cruiser. You want to go off-road. You can't use the Dunlop tires.
Take it to a tire shop. They take your beautiful rims. They throw them in the garbage. And
what do they get you? A junky rim that can't be balanced.
Yes.
That has more heavy spots than I do.
And an E-rated all-terrain
Yes.
tire.
And you're sad.
So now you're
sure.
with probably the incorrect acorn seat lug nut, which
Right.
needs a mag wheel shank. So now your brand new car with 17 miles on it has a steering wheel shimmy at 45
And
miles.
someone at the swap meet has your factory original wheels that are worth 10 times.
And they're selling them for $200 for the whole set.
exactly.
And what do you got to do? The dynamic alignment?
No, the dynamic balance. It's
Dynamic
road
balance.
force balancing. So they're road force balancing and go right back to the hub and put an acorn seat on there.
And then that doesn't work, and you got to put those like beads in that Flanders that Quaid put. Next thing you know, you got beads in there.
Yeah.
Beads and wheel weights.
Yeah, to balance your tires out.
It
What a
all
disaster.
could have
But
been
the
avoided.
truth of the matter is,
all could have been avoided if Toyota
Put
just
the
put
right
put an
tire
all-terrain
on
tire
there.
on it.
Yep,
Put an
saved
all-terrain
it.
tire on
Yeah.
it. Like if your goal, and you know, granted, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay,
I don't think so.
No, because we've only seen pre-production models. Maybe they got an idea. Maybe they're going to listen to this and help us. But
maybe that one was only driven on the street and they didn't want to waste the money on it.
I doubt that they're going to listen to this and help us. But anyway, maybe there'll be a TRD off-road package available with an all-terrain tire. But anyway, right now it's like a 79 Corona wagon with a locker in it. 79 Toyota Corona wagon.
You mean one of those all-wheel drive ones?
Yeah, it's like Ford has stepped up to the plate. Even though they made Goodyear take the word Wrangler off of their tire, they still stepped up and put an all-terrain
on the Broncos,
35-inch tire.
Yep.
Jeep has stepped up. They've been stepped up. I mean, back to the Rubicon days with the Goodyear MTR, the first generation MTR.
Now they do a BF Goodrich tire, right?
Now they do a BF Goodrich and Falcon. They do Falcon on the Mojave.
Right.
So Toyota needs to pick up their game on the tire side.
Yeah. I mean, even the new Tacomas have like street tires on them, right?
Yeah.
The Trail Hunter with street tires.
Yeah.
What tires does that have?
What trail are you going to hunt?
Yeah. I don't know. One without any rocks.
Vaughn's?
Yeah. Vaughn's parking lot trail.
Yeah, you're
I'll
going
tell
to
you
the
what.
Target Trail?
You're going to do some pretty nice trails with that sport bar they got on that thing.
Oh, no.
And the two little lights.
I don't know, man. That's coming back into style.
It shouldn't be.
Off-road design.
It shouldn't be.
Does a bunch of it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Like, and you remember when it was just a roll bar back in the day? It was just a two tube roll bar with the KC lights on it. I think they're trying to bring that era back.
Like why?
To target.
It was hideous.
It still is hideous.
Yeah, but at least that was like a roll bar connected to like the bottom of the bed. This thing is like just floating around on top of it.
I think they're more structurally sound now because I've installed many of the old roll bars.
Oh yeah,
where you just drill through the bed and put large fender washers.
Yeah. Using the bed as a support point, no plugs or.
Yeah, I've seen them tear off. Like,
I mean, it looks like an avalanche.
Yeah,
I mean, let's face it.
Yeah,
I see them on the TRX too, and I'm like.
I'll tell you, that was one of the most disappointing reveals I've ever seen, just because of that. I'm waiting for the TRX. It's got our, Black Hawk squared electronic dampers, 800 horsepower. Everyone's gonna love it. They like have all this mist and this mythical stuff going on, and it's
they
dark.
pull out with that roll bar.
Yeah, the two little tiny lights and the sport bar. I was done.
They should have had Michael Knight's song coming on.
Yeah, the
as
Night
it was
Rider.
pulling out.
I was done at the sport bar.
Yeah,
I'm like, what is this?
Put the
crap?
cover back on it. We don't want
But
it.
there's Dodge again. 35s.
Yeah.
Like, where's Toyota?
It's Ram now, not Dodge.
Yeah, well, it's Dodge.
Yeah.
But it's a Ram.
Well, it's Daimler.
Where's Toyota at with the tire game?
Well, what's going to happen with the 4Runner then? So where the 4Runner?
Yeah, where does this new vehicle fit in the mix?
Right.
Where does the new vehicle that we're talking about? Where does it fit in the mix? Like, is it just a package difference, or is it now a separate category?
Is the 4Runner going to have 35s? I mean, it better, or they're just
because
they're spinning their wheels. They're spinning their wheels. They're counting on their. I think Toyota's counting on the cult-like following, rather than stepping up to the competition. Like where are they? Even with the TRD Pro, the new TRD Pro Tacoma, it's like it has a P-metric all-terrain tire on there. Like the P-metric street tire that's on the Trail Hunter. It's what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the market for a 4Runner and you want to do trails and all that, and it comes with P-metrics, I mean, I think a lot of people are just going to go to the Bronco.
So with
I don't know. I don't know if they just go to the Bronco, but
I mean, like if you on paper,
on paper,
I would go for sure.
So like if you're the Toyota guy and you're gonna go to the lot and pick out your truck, you would start with the tire shop first to get rid of the P-metric tires, and then suspension wise, you would come to the Bill Stein catalog and look for a product. If you're switching off of those tires now, we have 5100s, 6112s.
We have the whole gamut.
The whole gamut for Toyota.
I mean, the Toyota suspension on the current 4Runner is great, and it gets like the front gets nearly 10 inches of travel.
Right.
And I mean, it's a great suspension.
So that truck we
Very
got
good.
covered. The Bronco, you can skip the tire lot, right? Because you've already got a good tire.
Well, that's the problem with the Broncos. People are like, I want 37s.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
No matter
so
what you do, they're not happy with it.
Let's just say they leave the 35s.
You should skip the 37s. You should maybe get like, it's pretty much ready to go. Right?
Except for if we want to upgrade the suspension, let's say it didn't come with factory Bilstein. We have 5100s.
Yeah, so with the Bronco, you've got the base suspension, they call it, and then you have the Sasquatch. It seems like a lot of people want the Sasquatch, but there's this base suspension.
Right.
And we have packages that accommodate both.
So we do the 5100 ride height adjustable?
We do 5100 ride height adjustable.
6112 ride height
And
adjustable?
6100.
6100.
So 6100 is going to be the 60 mil shock for guys that already have a Sasquatch package because the spring fits over the 60 mil shock.
Yep.
If you don't have the Sasquatch package, you have a smaller damper.
Right.
The spring ID is too small
Right, it
to
won't
fit
go
over
over
the
the
60 mil.
shock
So then you
body,
have to, for a non-Sasquatch package, you jump into the 6112.
6112, right.
Which is a spring.
And what's cool
And I think
about-
our springs are pretty much mimicked to the
Right.
OE. So they're progressive rate rear. Are they progressive front?
They're almost a straight copy.
They're a straight copy of a Ford spring.
But what I thought was cool on the Bronco is the first time we've ever had ride height adjustable front and rear
Yeah.
kit.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's by design of the factory.
yeah, that's a Ford factory design, but I thought it was really cool that now the customer doesn't have to buy any spacers or taller springs.
But
or
look at what
anything.
challenge that created in the aftermarket.
Yeah.
Springs.
Yeah, springs.
Look what challenge that
Yeah,
created.
yeah,
When the
yeah.
Ford Bronco first came out and all these other manufacturers had stuff on the market and it was rotating the pinion, it was blowing out rear ends, it was breaking drive lines
Yep,
because
yep.
the calculation on the rear is detrimental to how long that to not overcycle that rear end.
Yeah.
Just the visual. We should have brought one in here, but the visual. Just looking at the Bronco spring, it's got like multiple tenders at the top.
Yeah, it's like a
It's
three-stage spring.
It's got all kinds. It has like it must have like a lot of travel in the back. I mean,
has
it
a ton
seems
of
like
travel.
it.
Yep.
And,
But it's got to be limited to what everything else is capable of doing.
Yeah.
and like maybe they should have made the thing longer or something.
Right.
But I think a lot of aftermarket companies have had a hard time with the rear shock
Making that
on this.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some dual rates. I've heard of people taking they came out with a shock and they had to take it off the market
Yeah.
because of the springs.
Almost every one of them.
It didn't operate properly. It overcycled the rear
Yeah,
end.
and then during COVID, like springs were hard to get. Like if you're in the
So the kit
automotive
business
aftermarket,
just stopped.
yeah. So Bronco comes out and like every spring manufacturer is like super back ordered.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Junior let
that's one of the reasons why we did the 6100 right
to use the spring that came with it.
Yeah, so if you have a Sasquatch package, you can upgrade out of the factory Bilstein's ESCVs into a 60 millimeter.
Right.
And you can use the factory coil.
Right.
The 5100, you can also lift a Sasquatch if you want to do that, but that's really more for like a base package.
Right.
If
The
you
one
want to
that
lift,
didn't come with the Bilstein.
Yeah.
Right.
and then like Junior said, if you've got a base package and you want the 60 millimeter, you'd go with the 6112.
Well, he also let a cat out of a bag with the hint that there might be some even more range of product coming out for those trucks. Do we want to even talk about that, or do we want to leave it out
Yeah,
there?
we have an 8100 program coming out for the Bronco. I mean, we're not by any means trying to rush it to the market. You get loads of travel out of it.
So it's going to be similar to the product we have for Toyota, right? 81,
Correct, front
81.
and rear.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe it's going to be aluminum.
Yes.
Yep.
But like we said, like every other manufacturer's had problems with the back end. It's like you have to limit some of the droop in order to get them to function correctly.
So
right?
a few little minor bugs to work out of it, and it's
Well, I wouldn't say minor.
Yeah.
It was a major task to get a spring made.
well,
So-
yeah, we've overcome that goal. But as far as the product coming out, I mean, can the people start looking for it anytime soon, or is you think it's still
it's still a ways out.
still
It's
a
probably
ways out?
6 months,
6
8 months.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's out there. And I mean, Jeep stuff. You buy the Jeep from the lot. We're okay with the tires that come on the Jeep factory. We got the Jeep covered pretty heavily from top
Yeah.
to bottom with
Yeah,
product.
we got 4600s for guys that just want to replace shocks.
Actually, we don't. We have 5100s.
5100.
So we have 5100s for the Jeep because you can get more droop out of them.
Right,
so
right.
we did like a 0 to 1.5 inch like shock.
Right.
Yep, you're right. Sorry.
And
Just
and
by
it's
swapping
longer.
into 5100.
Yeah.
So 5100s, then we got the 5160s, but you have to have a minimum amount of lift for the 5160.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because they're made for a 2 to 3 inch lift or a 3 to 4.5 inch
So
lift.
the extended dimension is longer.
Yeah,
than
so
you
on the
have
Jeep, if you've got like a lift kit that's common out in the market, it seems like there's like a 2 to 3.
Right.
And then like a 3.5 to 4.5. So we have like, it basically comes down to the length of it. So we've got 5160s, 8100 smooth bodies, 8100 bypass. So we have a pretty big range for the lifted Jeeps. And then we also have an 1.5 inch lift, a full lift kit for a guy that has a Jeep Rubicon that came with 33s.
Right.
Right. I don't know why anybody would want to wheel anything like a Jeep on 33s.
Right.
And you want at least 35s. You can buy this 1.5 inch lift kit.
And swap to the bigger tire.
And swap to the bigger tire and then get a lot more performance out of that.
So that
and it's a
vehicle
plug
is-
and play. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no track bars needed. It's just the geometry is really, really good. It's really how the factory should have put it out.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
right.
like an OE plus.
It is OE plus.
Yeah. So I mean, basically all the vehicles that we talked about, except for the new Toyota version of whatever they're
Which I
making.
guarantee you, it's going to interface with the Tacoma. Well, I mean, obviously we're going to do all our fitment
4Runner,
verification,
yeah.
but I'm sure it's going to, I'm sure it's going to be the same fit, maybe a different valving, maybe a different tune. But I can't see that the front's going to need much of a different tune if the new Tacomas are going to be 4-cylinder turbo and these are 4-cylinder turbo. They might be a direct fit. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
I mean, the
we'll get
chassis
that.
are all very similar. So,
Yeah. So we'll get to that. You know,
When-
and
when
don't
we get
forget on
more
the
details.
Jeeps, we do have our higher end line,
Yeah.
which is our 8100 smooth bodies and our 8100 bypass.
Right.
And what's
so
the difference between the smooth body and the bypass?
Adjustability, I'm saying.
Yeah.
External
Yep,
adjustability.
yep.
As the smooth body is a 60 millimeter reservoir. This shock is no joke.
It's a great shock.
It's like you could drive it across the California desert without stopping.
Right.
Right. It's a great shock. It's pre-tuned
Right.
for
Right. Don't have to worry about. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not into tuning, you can just bolt it on the truck and drive.
the bypass on the Jeep has got rebound and compression, adjustability,
Tubes, yeah.
position sensitive damping. Like Junior said, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, but there's a price difference. There's I think $560 for a smooth body.
Right.
60 millimeter, and the bypasses are what, $1,100 each.
Right,
So
right.
It's a big.
So
a big
adjustability
jump
costs.
But
money.
again, you got to qualify what you want to do.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes double the price, you're getting triple the shock,
Right.
quadruple the shock. Because
Right.
if you're going to be in washboard a ton,
Right. You're going to
or
want
you're
to be
going to
able
be
to.
in just fire roads all the time, get a bypass.
Yeah.
Get the adjustability. But bypass doesn't just mean adjustability for that. Like if you're fully loaded down,
Yep.
like look how much adjusting we did to the JT and the JL 2 EJSs ago when we came back and we were stuck in that windstorm. Remember
Yeah,
that?
just to make it more stable.
Dude, we turned the tubes and got that thing way more stable. And I mean, it was to the point where we had to like ratchet strap the tents down like they were coming off the Jeeps.
Yeah.
Remember? That's when Wes was like
Go behind the picket. The
yeah,
semi
he was
truck.
he was what do they call that? Drafting.
Drafting, yeah.
With the semi truck, and then come to find out we get here and one of the brake lines are swelled up to like 8 inches. That was scary. But the whole trip we turned tubes on the bypass and the vehicle was a different handling car.
Right. Well, I shared the story about EJS this year. We drove the JAL, 14 hours there. We got there, and Shane hadn't ridden it yet, and he said, well, this thing doesn't ride so great, because we had driven it on the freeway all the way there, and he wanted to set it up for off-road.
Well, we had just gotten the shock service.
Right, and so we drove it around the block 3 or 4 times, and he made the thing rock ready in about 5 minutes. I thought it was amazing. I mean, we had to work on the vehicle in other ways. I think the in-cabin air filter was clogged up with dirt from 20 EJSs, so we had to swap that out. But other than that, the truck was trail ready faster than we could change the in-cabin air filter.
So even if like you have a ton of weight in the back of a Gladiator, like you have your rooftop tent, you have everything that you don't use, you have your welder back there and everything that you don't use, it's all decorated back there.
Welders come in Pelican boxes now.
Yeah, well, if you're all decorated back there.
Yeah.
And the vehicle's driving like crap, there's no reason you can't do an 8100 smooth body in the front and get benefits of the bypass in the back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge cost
if
difference.
you have a ton of weight back there and it fluctuates, if you undecorate the Gladiator you can tone all the zones down.
Get the drivability back into it. Yeah.
And then when you do decorate it, you can ramp up compression and rebound damping, so it's going to change. It's almost like you're kind of retarding spring rate a little bit. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're stiffening up the back so that it doesn't have that wallowy effect.
Yeah, the cantilever on the rear axle.
Well, if you've got the means to do the bypass, you won't
never
be
regret being able to adjust around.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best outside of 8112s. How they transform like Tundras and 4Runners and stuff. It works like that.
It's a game changer on the Jeep platform for sure, at least from my experience with those chassis.
Yeah, you go half throttle to wide open.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the top end shocks for the 4Runner, because 4Runners are freaking amazing. Our packages. For
yeah, if you go 8112s, the new 8112s, are they available for 4Runner yet?
Soon the DSA Plus.
Yeah, DSA Plus 8112.
But even without the DSA,
even without
it, the 8112 is
super amazing. I mean, there's just
I got dealers that deal every brand, right? They deal every brand, and when they finally get the opportunity to ride in a vehicle that has 8112s on it, I always get a phone call.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Holy crap! Like, this thing is insane."
Just go. If you guys doubt us, go on the internet, Google it. You'll find all the videos and shock shootouts there, and people just love 8112 on Toyota products.
I don't know what it is about the. I mean, I don't know what it is about the market. They're very brand specific, right? But all I could say on 8112s and 8100 bolt-on bypasses is they transform your vehicle. So don't cheat yourself out. If you're brand specific, do not cheat yourself out of having the best thing on the market on your vehicle. Drive on it. Find a friend that has it, or find a dealer that has them, or that can give you some input, or look at some videos of comparisons.
Reviews and shock shootouts and that sort of stuff.
They are priced aggressively when you compare them to what the market has, and they are far superior. And it's not just because I work here. I mean, you guys are going to probably think that, but the technology in these shocks you cannot find in anything else.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
On Toyota, the 8112 front coilover is I believe the only, aside from OE, the only position sensitive coilover on the market.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so even though, like, you take the one that's non-adjustable, it sells for about the same price as an adjustable competitor brand, right?
Right.
But the competitor brand does not have position sensitive.
Right. The 3-piston
and that
system.
Is huge.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bang for the buck. I
mean,
like to duplicate this suspension design, you're talking about external bump stops. You're talking about a secondary bypass. You're talking, limit straps.
Yep.
Right? Because our RCO acts like that,
yep.
but it behaves in a completely more progressive type way than a limit strap does. It's not an abrupt stop to your droop. There's actually a damping profile.
It actually catches you.
Yeah,
right.
It has in it.
In the OE world, on the ROE side, they nicknamed that the catch piston.
Yeah.
So we call RCO rebound cutoff. They call it the catch piston because if you whack something super hard and it's going to pop the front end up and bounce, it catches you.
Recovers you.
It catches you and keeps you on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's crazy technology.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. So to go one step further on the 8112 and 8100, you could put them on your car and your suspension will outdrive what the vehicle's capable of doing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
100%.
That's where all the gussets and all the little aftermarket.
And I'm not going to say this for a 392 Jeep guy, because, that's not fair. But if you got a 3.6 Wrangler, your shocks are faster. If you got a 4-liter 4Runner, your shocks are faster. If you got a Bronco with a 2.3 turbo, your shocks are faster.
You'll be able to cover more ground faster.
Yeah. You're going to be looking for the back of the motor with your foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're just, and it's not that we're adding a ton of travel. It's not, we're just adding confidence.
Technology, which makes confidence,
Right. So the technology creates the confidence in the feel of the chassis that you're going to feel far more controlled at 65 miles an hour than your stock vehicle at 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So all it is extruding confidence in your driving, right?
It kind of goes from like 5100. You can go, say at 4Runner, you want a 2.5 inch lift. So we've got like kind of your entry level all the way up to 8100, right? So you take a 2.5-inch lift, front 4Runner. We also have rear springs. You lift the back an inch, inch and a half. We have 2 different lift heights. You know, you can only go up to a certain speed on a dirt road.
Right.
With that, you go to the 6112, 5160 combo.
Get a little bit more speed.
Now you can go quite a bit faster.
Yep.
You know. And then when you get into the 8112, I mean, you need some cojones.
It's like the jump to light speed.
Yeah.
It's like a supercharger to your suspension.
Yeah.
It's like turboing your suspension.
And it always amazes me. I've ridden in a lot of these vehicles, and like you said, with the right driver in place, it's definitely not me. But they can definitely, you get going down these roads and you see that big bump and you're starting to hang on and you're like, oh, this ain't going to feel good.
I mean, it's just the same
right
technology that's in our Blackhawk UTV.
Yeah.
That's where the technology came from, is 8112.
Right.
Now you can see Doug Mittag in his videos how fast this guy, he's going wide open throttle. The suspension is still faster than the car.
Start, finish, bar stow, wide open.
Yeah. Never lifted.
Wide open. Wide open.
With this same tech.
Yeah.
With 35s. Wide open.
Yep.
Which is the reason why we want to get into UTV, because we have this tech. You've got this let's face it, huge off-road market.
Right.
Probably the fastest growing segment of the off-road market is UTV.
Right.
So why not use this for UTV?
Exactly. And you're hinting at another episode here. I mean, we definitely we're gonna get around to that episode sooner or later.
I mean, the way we talk about it,
you're speechless.
You're
yeah,
speechless.
well, no, the way
it's so awesome. You're speechless.
The way we're talking about it is like trying to convince someone, but it's not even that, man.
Yeah.
It's something so much better. Like, I don't want to convince you. I want you to go convince yourself. Like, get behind the wheel of one of these vehicles with off-the-shelf 8100s and 8112s on it. Just go do it.
Well, maybe that's something that people can request.
Well, here's something I want to tell you guys. Is I was over in our marketing warehouse earlier, and I saw the new 8100 or 8112 DSA cutaway sitting there. And I thought, I'm going to bring this over and set it on the table, but I figured that's a different episode. So
and like what me and Shane said, they don't need it, but that's what the market wants. They want knobs. And
well, it would be a great topic to have that thing on the table and just point out so people really understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't need it.
Yep.
We have engineers that have made it work phenomenal.
Yeah, even better.
On something that was not needed.
Yeah.
Like the range of our adjustments
on the DSA.
The DSA are so, like I've had guys say, hey, like I've maxed out knobs on other brands
and not felt
much difference. I do a couple clicks on this thing and it's a world of difference.
Well, I think we're doing DSAs on Jeep, and I believe that I think it was like I added 1,000 newtons from crazy. Full open to closed.
Well, we listened to what our customers wanted, right? The world is screaming for more adjustability. Yes. We already had an awesome product that, like you said, you could leave it alone and probably never mess with it, but we gave them what they asked for.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. So the non-adjustable 8112 is pre-tuned. It is adjusted.
Right.
We spent probably...
Right. It's vehicle specific. It's bolt-on, directly tuned for that vehicle.
Yes. But for, people...
And anyone that wants to take it apart, there are 3 tunable zones in there.
Right.
You got your JCO you can retune, you got your main piston, you got your RCO that can be retuned.
So that's tunable. So, but if you don't trust us and you want the DSA Plus, you've got dual speed compression adjustment on the reservoir, and then you also have the hydraulic JCO adjuster in there.
So, I mean,
there's a lot of adjustability there.
We listened to what our customers asked us for, and we came out with that product. So it's to me, it's pretty amazing.
I just couldn't believe that they made it work so well. Like it didn't need it.
No, it really
it took a while to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it didn't need it.
What was the timing on that? I mean, from the original 8112 to the DSA. I mean, we're still in DSA.
The original 8112 was launched for the SEMA of 2016.
Yeah, so it did take some time.
And it's taken time for the market to catch on to them, right? Because Bilstein is more known for an entry-level 5100. They were never able to upgrade out of the 5100 and get into a premium brand or premium line like the 8112. So they're not used to it. So it's still not 100% caught on. So it will. Like the 6112s, I mean, like we can't build those things fast enough. If we were building those things 24 hours around the clock and had 1,000 people doing it, we would still be behind.
Yeah, which is a great point. To those people that are waiting for our products, continue to wait, please, because they're all hand-built in the USA. The 8112s and 8112 DSAs. So when you're
they're hand-built in San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're out, when you place that order and it doesn't come next day, be patient. Because there's a guy working away here in Poway getting those.
All of our 8112s and 8100s are all put together by hand, by a human being.
They're all 100% dyno checked.
Yeah,
every single one of them are.
Yeah, and they're not just dyno checked. Well, a standard 8112, they run it on the dyno to make sure it matches the vehicle curve it was built for. The ones with knobs, they check every single setting.
Yeah, every detent.
And they also dyno check the JCO zone and the RCO zone.
Yeah. It's, to me, that is just so incredible that
100%
spend that much time to make sure that everything works properly. Not to mention everything they go through just to get to that stage.
I wish we could show a dynograph at one point.
We will,
to see how exponentially
I think we will make
the damping ramps up when you're in that first zone of jounce versus the second.
Yep.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I think people want to see.
Yep.
Because there's no other shock that offers that bottom-out control.
Yep. I think we will make a...
I mean, you could... Wait, I'm sorry. Internal bypass, you can tune.
Not really, though.
But you can. But it affects your ride zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
It affects the entire stroke of the shock.
But you can definitely tune for better bottom-out control.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you lose... You're retuning the main piston and you're retuning the interior tube. So it's going to naturally affect how the ride zone feels when you're tuning for bottom-out control. This gives you the opportunity to adjust bottom-out control externally.
It's all independent adjustments. One doesn't affect the other.
It does nothing to your ride zone. But if you wanted to do something to your ride zone, we have 2-speed compression adjusters.
High
and low.
And I think that's what freaks people out is that a lot of people will ride on those and they go, you know what, this is just way too soft in the ride zone. Where they're like, wait a second, if I go over a big bump, I'm going to bottom this out. And then they hit the big bump and they're like, wait,
oh my gosh,
it didn't bottom out. And then, we look for RCO. They launched the truck and they're like, wait, there was no bang when the suspension dropped out underneath.
And I didn't bounce.
Exactly. And the catch piston caught me, right? So, yeah. So what do you guys think?
There's so much technology, man. Like there's so much technology in these shocks that it's difficult to explain without like a cutaway.
Yeah, we're going to do that, and we're going to do the dyno. And also, for you folks watching and listening and all that, please put comments of topics that you want us to address.
If you have friends that have 8112s,
go ride with them.
Go ride with them. Put the comments, like comment on your 8112s.
Yeah, let us know what you think about it.
Put a comment on your 8112s, how your 8100s feel, what you had prior. So like, let's get a fair comparison. What did you have prior? Did you have a Fox? Did you have a King? Did you have a Radflow? What did you have prior? And what was your expectation going into an 8112?
Yep. Yeah,
right? Because we'd love to hear this feedback. Because we feel, and many people we talk to on a daily basis feel, that 8112 basically makes your car dangerous at speed because you can go that fast.
Yeah, that's what we get back from customers that we talk to. But definitely let us know.
They're like, this thing is like the suspension's too fast for. I can't get up. I'm running out of throttle because the suspension is not overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy what you can do with a bolt-on shock. But back in the day, Shane, do you remember? You couldn't do this.
No, and that's
you
the
would
thing
need
is,
the bypass. You need a limit strap. You need an external bump
and
stop.
A fab shop and a big giant wallet. Yeah, it
and
was
a
just
coil carrier.
It was unthought of. I mean,
this is crazy technology,
so
guys.
Amazing.
So that's a great thing about the 4Runner. You can get that onto your 4Runner.
Yeah.
And also a rear
direct
bypass.
fit.
Yep.
Direct fit.
Yeah, the direct fit part is the cool.
So you don't have to weld it. You don't have to weld a bump stop can in there.
No welding.
Look for where the pads. Where the bump
worst you got to do is
engage.
install a riv nut to hold the reservoir somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, there's no fabrication work needed. There's nothing.
Yep.
And quite frankly, if you're not trying to max out ride height, you can use your factory arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do offer a upper control arm if you want to change that out and get your geometry corrected as well.
Well, I mean, that's a fine line about geometry corrected. Like if you don't overlift your vehicle, you don't
True.
need your geometry.
Yeah, I mean, you stay in the
factory range. As long as you stay in the range
yeah.
of what your caster split needs to be, you're fine.
Yep.
All right, so what's some final thoughts on the 4Runner Bronco Jeep debate?
If you're rock crawling, get a Wrangler.
Yeah.
If you're
Overlanding.
If you have an umbrella and you want to semi-rock crawl and go fast, get a Bronco.
Right.
If you want to get there and get back every single time for the next 50 years, get a Toyota.
Yeah.
And not have a noisy...
Yeah, and I mean,
roof.
so...
Yeah, if you want all your speaker grills to stay on.
It's
on a
all
washboard
based
road.
around tire size, right?
And the other thing we discussed, if you do want to go fast and rock crawl, you can buy a Jeep and get our 8100 bypass.
Exactly. Get a
And
tunable,
or smooth
adjustable
bodies.
shock.
Our smooth bodies
Yep.
and line up an appointment to get your sleeve gussets
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
your
yeah.
C gussets and
Make
your
sure that
truss.
the rest of the chassis keeps up with
Make
it.
sure, yeah.
You got to make sure that front axle doesn't get bent.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I'm going to roll us out.
Although the new Gen 44 is
Uh-oh.
better than the
He's
previous
on
Gen
it.
44.
That's definitely a lot better.
Yeah, remember the first JK 44? You bend those in parking lots.
Bend them going over inputs to driveways and things.
We did an off-road from SEMA one year, and both JKs on that trip had bent axles by the time they got back.
No.
Oh, yeah. And didn't both of them lay them on their side? One on the roof and one on the side?
No,
I thought
that was a different trip.
not the
I thought-
JK.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Not
but
the
two
JK.
of them.
Both
One
J-
ended up on the roof and one ended up on the
No,
side.
those were JLs.
not JKs.
Yeah.
The JKs on the trip ended up with
Bent
broken
axles.
Bent axles, yeah. Yeah.
The JL, somebody was.
What about that Toyota, though?
Toyota.
Toyota was fine.
Toyota 4Runner?
Yeah.
The Toyota
It
was fine.
survived.
Wasn't skipping a beat.
Didn't have any issues. And he
And,
did the whole trip on 33s.
Let's talk about like we got a couple guys here that drive 4th Gen 4Runners that beat the absolute life out of them.
The crap.
Yeah.
One of our engineers just took it to a shop, and James said,
The truck shop, San Diego.
Yeah.
and James said that he's never seen a chassis so fatigued in his life.
Well, Brandon goes to Glamis and launches it off dunes. I've seen
Right.
videos.
And with a bolt-on 8112.
yes.
And there's videos. YouTube is videos. Just 8112. When you see this gold 4th generation 4Runner with a V8 just hucking it over berms, that's him.
Yeah.
And the chassis, I mean, the arms were tearing away from the frame. There was cracks in the chassis. There was like they had to regusset the whole frame. Basically, take the body off and redo the frame.
He actually told me that he's gonna have to slow down and with his 4Runner, and he's not gonna drive it so fast anymore because that repair costs so much money.
Yeah,
He's
and I think
fearful of having to fix
I
it
believe
again.
he shoved a body mount up through the cab.
The things you can do with 8112s, huh?
But the thing about that 4Runner is I've watched Brandon beat the crap out of it for years now.
Yeah, he's had the truck
and
forever.
it's like and it goes
Unbelievable.
everywhere.
It just keeps going.
And guess what? He took apart the 8112, and the JCO looked better than the day he put it in.
Yeah, brand new. Nowhere.
Like he said, the oil was a bit
Good.
deceased, but look how he drove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're buying one of these, we're not just a bunch of zombies at Bill Stein. We actually use our product.
Yeah. We're not only participants, but we're also members of the club.
And Bill Stein didn't pay one penny for that 4th Gen
Right.
4Runner. That's all Brandon.
Yeah.
And he beats it like it's borrowed.
Yeah. Well, we all do that. I mean, we all are enthusiasts here. We all have vehicles.
I think I did my old 100, but I would never do
I
that.
don't-
Yeah, I don't abuse my truck like that, but
That's beyond abuse, I think.
exactly. We all drive them. We all participate in using them the way they're meant
You
to
look
be
at a
used.
whoop section, you're like, oh, those are 2-footers, and he says, great, floors it.
Floor it. Yeah, let's see how fast.
The thing
we
about
get.
the 4Runner, it always would come back. Like like I've always had like Jeeps and stuff, and they don't come back.
Right. like GMs, cancel Christmas.
Yeah,
GM or Dodge.
dead on the trail.
Like
Yeah.
look at the Ram. Look at the Ram half ton that you just got like 4 feet into that trail and the arm ripped out of it.
Yeah.
And then you're driving home with a wheel like this, trying to get home.
But for some
Overcorrected.
reason, that Toyota,
Yeah, it keeps coming back.
they built them for war, man.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
They built those trucks, and they continue. Let's hope it continues into the 4th Gen Tacoma, into the 6th Gen 4Runner, into this pathetic Land Cruiser they're building.
I mean, it is all up in the air. I don't know what to think.
Well, we're just going to have to
I
keep
do not
posted.
know what to
I've
think.
never been so stoked and so hurt at the same time.
What about the Tacoma with leaf under?
Oh my God, what are they thinking? Why
And
would
then
you
the
come
other-
up with 2 chassis to put springs under the axle?
Okay, coil springs, great, finally. But now you have one with leaf springs too,
And it's
Why?
under the axle?
Why?
On a stock vehicle with the 265 7017, it looks like the springs are touching the ground.
I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out what's up Toyota's sleeve.
Yeah,
here.
we're just going to have to wait and see.
I guess we're.
I
Gonna
think
find
there.
out.
I definitely think there's some tricks up their sleeve because I mean it's. I mean,
be the old bait and
historically, Toyota doesn't do anything to lose.
You know what I think's funny about the market? So they're like, you need to buy electric vehicles. Everyone needs an electric vehicle. And then over here in the light truck side, Bronco, and now I don't know what the hell Toyota's going to do, but I think their new Tacomas have 35s on them, right?
And they're not electric.
And then like they built this Land Cruiser, and what's the 4Runner going to be? And then Jeep did a 30 or doing 37.
And here's where Toyota falls short. Okay, they build trucks that last. They have a cult-like following. People are lined up to pay $10,000 over sticker for a 4Runner. You know,
I used one.
right? So, but they let their stuff get really long in the tooth. They're like typically you want 4, maybe max 5 years of a production run of a vehicle. Let's talk about the Tundra from 2007 to 2023.
Yeah, without an
Or
update.
2022.
Yeah.
How long is that? I mean, I'm not good at math.
Well, you
My
got
better
class-
vision doesn't help me.
Yeah.
Those
with math.
classes don't help you with that.
Right. So
calculation?
let's say 2022. That's 15-year run. A 15-year run. Who does that and who continues to buy it? When they did the facelift in 2014, I was like, these guys are idiots. No one's going to buy these trucks.
Kept buying them.
They kept buying them.
Yep.
The 4Runner. Theoretically,
Oh my God.
the whole thing hasn't changed since 03. It's been facelifts.
Dude, the 4Runner is so long in the tooth, a Jeep JL feels like a luxury car.
Oh my God,
when you're
dude.
in it.
And it's like every year they'll build it with a 7.1 inch screen or a 7.2 inch screen. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, we want something different than
Yeah.
this FJ40 looking dashboard.
Yeah, the screen doesn't really change.
was
the
cool back
vehicle's
in
performance.
13.
But
Yeah, exactly.
but imagine 03, it's 2023. They're building the 4Runner on the same chassis. Minimal changes. I think there was a minimal change in 2010.
Not much.
Minimal change.
Minimal.
There was a wider sleeve in the front lower control arm, and that's probably because there was a different manufacturer that was manufacturing their arm. That's probably the reason that change came in place. But everything else was identical. So from 2003 to current 4Runner, it's been the same chassis. Long in the tooth, man.
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
wondering if the new 4Runner is going to be IRS.
Yeah, the design, I mean, the
Because they took it away from the Sequoia.
cutting edge when they come out that it takes them that long before they get really, really long.
I want to know if it's going to have 35s. Are they going to step up to the plate? with
Gosh,
some-
they need to. I think
with some 35s?
I think if Toyota doesn't put something with 35s on the market, and I think my personal opinion is I think they're going after Wrangler and they're going to reintroduce FJ with a live axle
Yeah.
and 35s.
Yeah.
Toyota, listen, man, if you guys want to be part of this game, introduce the FJ Cruiser in a 2 and a 4-door, put a live axle in it, and put 35s on its stock. You can do it. You did live axle forever.
Yep.
Don't use Burfields. Use U-joints.
They still
We don't
make
need
them.
Burfield axles.
LC70, they still make them.
Right. But that's a Burfield axle. Let's get it back to, put a Dana 60 in it. Put a Dana axle in it, U-joint axle. Don't deal with Burfields. We don't want the leaky grease. But do something if you want to save. I'm not saying it's going to save them because they're not by any means.
Yeah,
they
they're not
do
in
not
trouble.
need to be saved.
Yeah.
But get something out there. Get something out there that compete. No one builds anything that will compete with a Wrangler right now. Well, they do, but it's a full size like a Power Wagon. Still a Chrysler product. Still Fiat.
Let's just say, Toyota, if you want to say good night to the Bronco
Yeah.
and not hear about that car again,
Yeah.
put 35s, solid axle.
If
on
you
an
want
FJ.
a used car lot full of Broncos, get an FJ with a live axle.
Yes.
And every dealership you'll have a bunch of used Broncos to sell.
Actually, don't do that, because then I'm going to have to sell my Jeep and buy one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't do that. Don't do.
But FJ 2-door, FJ 4-door, that with a solid axle, and then I've seen all kinds of, what do they call it? Renditions.
Yeah.
Of like renderings of
yeah.
FJ Cruiser trucks to do against the Gladiator. Like, Toyota needs to really target that market, because there's absolutely no competition in that range for Fiat.
Yes.
There's none. So they have that market sewed up. Back in the 80s, all the way up to 85, the last year of the live axle, Toyota had the game locked.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did. 100%.
They had the 4Runner with a live axle. They had the, I shouldn't say.
The 80 series.
80 series.
Yeah.
So all the way to 97.
Right.
Yes.
With the Land Cruiser. You had the live axle game locked. You really had it locked up to 85, because everything that was cab on chassis was live axle. And then they went to that disgusting torsion bar front end.
Torsion bar on the upper arm. Why? Actually, the race trucks were like that.
Yeah, well,
that's why.
They had to follow what was going that time, to be a race truck, so.
Yeah, get back into solid axle, Toyota.
Please.
Get back into solid. And that will save everyone in Hawaii from having to cut out your stuff.
Yeah, and put in solid axle.
That'll save everyone in Hawaii a whole bunch of time, right? Because they're buying your 4Runner and they're chopping it out. They're chopping everything off the front end.
They're putting bulletproof kits.
Right.
Yeah.
No, they're not even doing that. They're converting them back to leaf spring. They're just cutting it off and finding a junkyard 44 and putting leaf springs on brand new 4Runners.
Not putting the axle on there.
It doesn't even have a front drive shaft.
Yeah, don't need it.
Personally, I like the 10-inch bulletproof kits
in
Hawaii.
No,
Chrome.
God.
That's what I like the best.
Yeah, yeah, not into that.
If I lived in Hawaii, I would definitely have the bulletproof.
Yeah,
God, that's so terrible. Like, you can stand up and comb your hair in the subframe.
Yeah,
if it's chromed.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
But
Toyota Motor Corporation, FJ Cruiser, 2 and 4-door, live axle, 35 stock. You'll change the game.
And make a truck.
And make the truck version of it.
Yep.
You'll change the game.
And we'll take it out on that note.
And
you
can stop making this hideous 250 Prado. Just the FJ Cruiser will just dominate every cab on chassis vehicle they have.
Yeah, you won't have to have all these different. You won't even need the Tacoma anymore.
Imagine, this will solve 2 problems. Everyone has used car problems at these dealerships. Everyone's keeping their cars. They put this car out, and they will have so many certified used vehicles to sell. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, we'll be good to go. Finally, we can all buy a used car again.
Yeah, call me if you need some advice, Toyota. I'll broker this deal.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us today on Shock Talk. We hope you got some valid information out of all of our jibber jabber here. We like the fact that you're here. We like the fact that you're going to put some comments for us down in the comment section, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.